Hi, everybody. I'm reconvening to open session, the regular meeting of Fairview District 72 Board of Education. It's January 22nd, 2025 at 7:03 PM. We have already established that we have a quorum. I'd like to request that all members of the public be respectful of everyone at this meeting. Please ensure that you have silenced your cell phones and please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, may I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of December 17th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Does anyone have any comments or questions? Okay, well, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. Nope. Okay, perfect. Minutes are approved. Next item is approval of payments of bills. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the payment of bills in the amount of $189,203.47?
So moved.
I'll second. Anybody have questions about the bills? No? Okay, with the board secretary, please call a roll call vote.
Yes. Christine Soika,
Yes.
Esther Tamura,
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Diana Diakakis.
Yes. All right, bills are approved. Next item is Parent Teacher Association report. Do we have a representative? Oh, perfect.
Good evening. We ended the school year with two of our favorite events. We had a very successful book fair. We sold around $10,000 worth of books, allowing our library to receive around $2,700 worth of books that you can buy through Anderson Book Fair. We had awesome feedback with them. I think a lot of the students and parents loved the variety of books that they had to offer, a lot of different genres for different age groups. So that was awesome. We also ended the year with our winter themed PTA party for classrooms. And we are starting off the events with our annual winter dance and bingo, which is glow in the dark themes. That's exciting. It will be this Friday, January 24th. We also have a stress-free fundraising tonight at Fat Rosie's. So if you guys want to head over there tonight and give your kitchens and your cooks a break. Our PTA Valentine's Day classroom parties are February 12th, and our next general PTA meeting is Tuesday, March 11th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. And next item is school activity report. Does anyone from the board or administration have any good news that they would like to share?
Hello, everyone. Just a few updates, really specific to middle school that's happened since we last met. We had our junior high band and choir days, which is an opportunity for our students that are in those programs to be able to go to the high school, get to meet staff, play in front of other peers at other schools, which is really a neat opportunity. So Mr. Connor was part of that for band and choir. And then Orchestra Odyssey is the same version of that for our orchestra, which has happened recently with Mr. Park. So all the kids go that want to participate to the high school, and then they have a concert that they do in the auditorium at Niles West. So a really cool activity for all of those involved. When we came back from break, we had a really unique event that took place that was spearheaded by Mr. Masterton in our PBS Rewards program, that our students in middle school that wanted to join a raffle to play in a basketball game against the Skokie Police Department happened on January 13th. It was just a lot of fun. We did this many years ago, and the kids loved it then, and they loved it this time. It was students 5th through 8th grade. All of the middle school was there, and some primary students came as well. The police officers were just amazing sports, kept the game close. They did a much better job than I think our staff does when we play the students, but they were really trying to keep it a close game. We ended up making a last second basket to win the game. And I was on the scoreboard, like blowing the whistle. So they didn't even get a shot off. So they didn't even have a chance to win, the police department. So, but they were great. Kids really enjoyed it. And shout out to Mr. Masterton for helping organize that, more events like that in the future, because the kids seem to really love it. So that's it for me. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. At the primary level, we are all about experiential learning, as I've said many times. So our kindergarten is going on a field trip this Friday to the Coles Children's Museum, which is always a lot of fun to take 5-year-olds out of the building. It's always kind of like when your kids leave, it's, you worry about them, but they are in very good hands with our staff as well as our parents and chaperones that are going. It's going to be a great time for them. We also have next week, starting grades 1 through 4, some of the Skokie Park District clubs that are going to be beginning. We have 3 that are going to run based on enrollment. We have the Hot Shot Sports Club, the Cheer Club, and then the Chess Scholars Club. So that will be for the students who signed up for that, which is wonderful. And then also just like happening around school, middle school and primary school, we are doing our winter benchmarking, which is kind of the middle of the year temperature check to see how our students are growing and learning and their progress. So then we can make those adjustments as we continue the second half of the school year. So lots of fun. We are ready for warm weather so that we can actually have outdoor recess. Although I have to say our teachers have been trying really hard to keep them engaged in activities during that indoor recess time because it is tough. So I think we're all ready for some fresh air. The germs and, all of the bugs that are going around also, we need to have fresh air, but it's going great. Teachers are doing awesome. Kids are doing wonderful as always. So have a great night.
Hello. So since receiving the PFA grant for preschool, we've been really working hard and trying to recruit more students into our program and maybe get the word out to families who were not able to be here when we were tuition only. And since that time, this week alone, we had 8 new students start, which has been really great. And it went very well. We had a meet and greet with some criers, but once the actual week started, there were no tears, maybe from parents, but not from the kids. And then we have 5 more who are currently registering. So we're well on our way. It's really exciting. Yeah. All right.
We had the first robotics tournament last Thursday at Niles West. It was great first tournament. A lot of our students, it was their first time, which the first robotics tournament is always, kind of crazy, but nobody forgot any controllers, no batteries. We missed the finals by 1 point and we couldn't get in because Lincolnwood took their arena home early. So I kind of blame Dr. Russo over there for doing that. But other than that, it was a great first tournament. The next one is February 27th at Fairview. So everyone is invited to come.
Thank you, guys. Next item is our board discussion items. Would the superintendent please introduce the reports to the board?
Yes, I am very happy to welcome members of our strategic planning committee who are here with us tonight, and our consultant, Dr. Gary Zabilka. So Gary, if you want to come on up. We have worked really hard over the last couple of months, and a lot of people have worked hard alongside with all of us to bring us to this point. So, just really excited to hear from Dr. Zabilka and have the board hear about, our efforts over the last couple of months.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone.
Do you need help with getting the presentation up?
Well, I just need to remember to go to 3 fingers.
You can, yeah, slide over. There we go.
There we go. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for having me back. What this does is it kind of brings back full circle the process that Fairview undertook in developing a new strategic plan for the next 5 years. Interestingly enough, in doing so, I went back to the timeline of when we started, and it was at an August meeting, and I appeared here in this very room with this very board and had the opportunity to kind of share what our process looked like with the hopes that we'd have the opportunity to partner together. When I think back to that day, it was a very hot day in August, very different than today. And as such, I remember short sleeves and all that type of thing. And point being that, that was several months ago, and this process, on the one hand, can take several months, yet at the same time, I would say the way that Fairview implemented it was about as expedited as it can be in a very positive way. So in August, we began, September, we administered a survey to your community whereby we sent the link where people could give their perceptions of Fairview School District. And that survey came back extremely positively. There were 138 respondents to that survey. And I can tell you just overall, there were approximately 20 different characteristics of the district that parents, staff members, et cetera, were able to rate. Your district, and I shared this at the strategic planning process, had probably one of the highest ratings that we have found in the work that we've done with districts. You had well over 90% satisfaction rating in a number of areas. We're talking about academics, facilities, and all those kinds of things that make up a school district. So we utilize that survey then as data to help inform us as we're looking to develop the strategic plan. From there, we go to November, and it's at that time, again, in this very room, we had a wonderful representative committee, about 40 people. We had some of you board members, you may recall being there. We had some of the staff members that are here today, some of the administrators. We even had a couple of students with us, which were just phenomenal, really added to the discussion and the conversation that we had about Fairview. And we spent those approximately 6.5 hours on that November day talking about those foundational pieces of your district. Talked about what's the mission, what's the purpose of your district, what is the vision for your district moving forward, the beliefs, et cetera. So at this time, very pleased to present you with the finished plan, and not going to go through all of it word by word. You've got copies of it available to you. But the mission statement, just for an example, and being relatively short, why do we exist as a district? I'm still saying we. I always say I embed myself into the process, people with whom we're working. And so you just have to excuse me, just consider me a temporary Fairview person. But anyway, we went through the conversation. Why do we exist? What's our purpose? And we said it should be something that's short and memorable. And to that point, we've got what you see in front of us, and that is, Fairview exists to create a strong foundation for academic growth and personal development. All learners. Short, sweet, simple, to the point, and something that I think people can remember and remind themselves. Why do we come to work every morning? Staff members, parents, why do we send our kids here? And students, why are we here? To do all of those things. Those are all signs of a quality mission. Then we take a look at the vision, and the vision piece is also a very important aspect of it as to what is that school that we'd like to become. Now, interestingly enough, as we talked about the perception survey, it's challenging to take a look at a district where you're rated so well, so highly in all these different areas. Where do we go from there? So I think what, again, the committee came up with, and again, this is all the committee's work, basically to expand those learning opportunities. And again, I'm not going to go through it word by word, but we talked about having a larger than life type of vision for the district. But, it ends with preparing them to thrive in an ever-changing world. And again, if you're looking at it from a student standpoint, don't we want to further expand those opportunities to prepare our kids in an ever-changing world? So that's where we landed as far as the vision statement is concerned. And again, it's to the credit of those who were part of the committee. Then we also were able to identify the core values of those of the committee and representing those of the district. And this is what we came up with here. And again, there are only 4 of them, but these are the beliefs. These are your non-negotiables. What do we believe about ourselves as a district? And again, you've got a safe physical and emotional school environment, the diverse voices and perspectives from the community, effective teamwork, collaboration, and equitable and meaningful learning opportunities to engage all learners. Again, short, to the point, but powerful. And again, credit to your committee for putting that together. So all told, this is what your foundational strategic plan moving forward. We take a look at those and we say, you know, is this who Fairview is? Is this who we want to be for those next at least 5 years? Because it could actually go on beyond that, but nonetheless for the next 5 years. Then we take a look at what are some of the strategic goals in order to accomplish that. And this is what was come up with. And again, just so that everyone understands, you may say, wow, those are relatively short and simple over the next 5 years. We do this process in such a way that we talk about big, broad, overarching goals that many things can fit underneath there in order to incrementally move the district forward on an annual basis. So the things that you have here, you know, focus around communication, your facilities, you know, optimizing your fiscal health and maintaining safe, quality facilities. Human relations piece, you know, education is such that we're high labor force profession. And as such, it's the quality of the people that make the difference. And you've got, you know, retaining, not only retaining high quality employees, but then seeking out new ones when necessary in order to maintain that quality culture that you have. Finally, the teaching and learning aspect, which is all important as well. And then the technology piece, which is another instrumental and important aspect of keeping students current and moving things forward in such a way that we can promote more academic success. So that's where the district landed as far as the plan goes. As far as a graphic representation of this, we've got what I would consider to be, but it's more important what you consider, but you've got a nice, beautiful representation. All of that information on one page. Your mission, your vision, those belief statements, and your district's goals. Constant reminders of who we are, where are we going, what do we believe, and what is going to be our focus for those next 5 years. Great constant reminder, these are the things that keep quality organizations, particularly quality school districts, high quality, and that is everyone understanding and appreciating the same alignment to move forward with. So then beyond that, we may ask what's the next steps to this, should the board approve this? And that would be to take those goals and then begin looking at them more specifically. What are some of the aspects under each of those 5 major goal areas that we can focus on for next year, for example, would be the, you know, first place to start. There might be a couple that you may look at saying, well, this would be something that would look at in the next 2 to 3 years or over the next 2 to 3 years. But again, that's where the work begins. Oftentimes we think the strategic plan, you got it in front of you, you know, we're good. Actually, just by approving this, sets more work in motion, but I mean, to then be able to look specifically at what are going to be those next actionable items that the district will be pursuing. And then finally, the second piece is then a rollout of this. Provided the board approves this plan tonight, the next step will be making everyone aware. Okay, those staff members who, you know, were selfless enough to work on it are familiar with it, but we need to inform the rest of the staff about it. You need to inform your district community at large, et cetera, to say this is what we are looking at for Fairview for the next 5 years and just making it a more actionable plan in general. So with that, I just want to say I appreciated the opportunity. This is probably one of the nicest groups of people to have worked with. In those 6.5 hours, people wordsmithed together, they challenged and debated each other over words and so on to make it a reality. And I have to say, it's probably one of the best working groups that I've worked with. So to that extent, be more than glad to answer any questions that the board may have.
I just wanted to say thank you. This was a very nice process to be a part of, and I learned a lot, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for being a part of it. I
Yeah.
remember you were sitting right over here.
Yeah, thank you.
So, great. Well, thank you. And with that, I just, again, on behalf of myself and our firm, just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to. Thank you.
And thank you to the members of the committee who are here in the audience. Do you mind just really quickly standing up so we can give you a round of applause for being here and being a part of it? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. No, we can't do this type of work without all of you. And to dedicate a Saturday with busy families and many other things that they could be doing outside of Fairview, you know, I appreciated the effort on everyone's behalf. So thank you for that. Next up, Mr. Fair is going to provide the board with a financial update, sort of mid-year. We're starting to look towards the budgeting process for next year and wanted to provide an overview for the board. So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. So we have the audit complete now and the levy complete. So as Dr. Whitaker said, we start the budgeting process for next year. I thought it was a good time to update you on some of the goings on of financially. There we go. Gotcha. So some of the challenges we're dealing with right now are limitations in regards to raising revenues for the district. We're seeing a drop in CPI, which is what affects our local taxes. It's going down to 2.9% for next year. We're seeing a large number of property tax appeals from corporate owners in the district. That affects us. So there's line items on our budget where we get tax money from 2 different years, but then we also get tax money taken away from previous years where there is appeals. So we're getting hit pretty hard this year in that regard. I was mentioning to someone earlier that we didn't get tax receipts in December because the appeals exceeded the taxes we were getting in. So it was a negative number for December. So that hasn't happened in quite some time. The CPPRT decrease that I referenced in our budget presentation earlier in the year, as well as the ESSER funding coming off the books. We don't count on those, but because we have so much corporate property in the district, the CPPRT number was a huge chunk that's going away. And we also are seeing flat levels of state and federal funding. That's not new, but again, that is an effect that limits the amount of money that we do get in. So we have expenditures going up and those amounts remaining flat do affect our bottom line. So with expenditures, of course, the big one, and we mentioned this to the board back when we decided to invest so much of our district fund balance in the construction project, that it was going to maybe create an uncomfortable position for us. At the time, we hit our maximum as far as debt that we could issue without going to referendum, and we paid for the rest of the project out of our fund balance on hand, which brought us down to it's $26 million project, and we borrowed 15, so 11 million of that was coming out of our own pockets. Construction currently, we're working through the process to finalize that now. And the big thing here is that we hit a point 5-6 years ago where enrollment was continually increasing. Well, over the course of the last couple of years, unexpectedly, it's going down. And those fluctuations in a small district do mean a lot. Over the course of that time, we've continually added programs, added positions in order to not take away from what's going on in the classroom. And then also going along with that is the needs that have occurred that we've really, we've added positions that to maybe get some of those gaps or fill in some of those gaps that we are realizing. Health insurance increases. So next to salaries, health insurance increases are the number 2 expenditure that we have in the district. Salaries and benefits are the huge, about 80% of what we pay for in the district. Special education costs continue to go up. And then preschool this year, so we decided preschool is a need for us, but at the same time, it's not being funded. We're not paying for it totally through both registration fees or with preschool for all. A lot of that's coming out of the tax money that we issue, and that's coming out of our education fund. This graph right here is a look back as well as a 5-year look ahead. Sorry about the small numbers, but the red line is our expenditures. Our blue line is our revenue. That green line is the 75% fund balance target, which is a board policy. We don't have to have that, but that's the target. That's a target that the board looked at when we adopted it. I believe it was 3 or 4 years ago. The orange line is 25%. That's ISB issued, is the recommendation. And then the yellow line there is what we're, again, conservative projection, but that's looking at what our fund balance will be in fiscal year 30. This is, of course, if things stay static. our options to explore, alternative sources of revenue. Again, we're limited there. There is the tax rate referendum, which you can look at for raising revenues. The personnel plan, do we make cuts in the personnel plan in order to accommodate some of these financial needs? Insurance options, looking at the different options that we do have and find out if there's cost savings for any of those currently. Programmatic offerings, is there cutbacks in those, in that regard? And then vendor contracts. You know, we've talked about this both with operations and maintenance, with technology. Are there cuts in some of those larger vendor contract areas that would help us scale back a little bit? So it's anticipated uncomfortable conversations that we're going to have, but like we knew when we entered into a $26 million construction project, paying for a lot of with money that we had saved up, we wanted to be true to the taxpayers with their dollars. We want to make sure that we are not going out for money we didn't need if we had it on hand, but we knew at the same time, eventually we were going to have some serious conversations about areas that we can save and cut back on, or decisions we had to make in order to create that long-term sustainability for the district. So that's it, really brief, but want to at least give people an update as I start the budget process for next year. If there's any questions.
Any questions from the board? Thoughts?
The two lines that you said are
Yeah,
the red line is
that's expenditures, projected expenditures.
blue line.
Blue line is projected revenues. Yeah.
So where does this pay?
That-
This is clear. What's the problem?
What's this fiscal year? We projected initially. So this is operations and maintenance, education, transportation, and working cash. Those are the four operating funds. That's these four funds combined. This year, we projected expenditures to exceed revenues, and that's typical conservative projection that we have. But we did see a deficit in those funds.
Question, the 75% fund balance per board policy, what was it in prior years?
What was our fund balance in prior years?
Like the percentage that you're comfortable
So
with,
we were,
or what it was?
prior to construction, we exceeded 120%. So there was a point in time where we had about 145%. And that had accumulated over a number of years due to a working cash issue back in, I believe it was 2005, 2006. But it had maintained about that level for a good period of time. But, you know, it allowed us to do a number of things at the building, which was we had 3 summers where we tackled a large part of the roof. And typically those projects are taken from other funds. We were able to do that out of operating funds. We did some remodeling, reconstruction of the building, all came out of operating funds. So we hadn't issued any debt for any of those projects up until this larger construction project.
Yeah, until this larger project, the district was completely debt-free
Correct.
for a long period of time, which is almost unheard of
Unheard of.
in Illinois public schools.
Yeah, typically the only districts that have no debt right now are those that didn't have a debt extension base when that was implemented back in the 90s. So there was a point in time where if you didn't have debt, you couldn't issue any debt. Like that was the reason that we were able to have debt is because we had debt at the time. It's a convoluted thing, but like my home district didn't have debt, so they could never issue any debt like we did. So we had a certain limit that we could issue debt and not go to referendum.
Any other questions, discussion? No?
What's the annual cost of that? right now?
Yeah, no cost of debt. The cost of the debt for the district? About $800,000. Yep. And we levy for that too. So it's a net zero. So the amount when we adopted the debt, we issued the debt, that goes into our levy. And then we actually pay off the exact amount that we levy for.
Clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next, please feel free, Dr. Zabilka. Board policy, you don't need to probably sit through. Next up, we have our second reading of board policies. These policies were presented last month. Seems like a while back, but in December. And I had asked the board to take a look at the policies, review them in preparation for tonight. So I just open the discussion if there are questions, comments, concerns. Otherwise, these are all recommended changes by the Illinois School Board Association. And the majority of these changes are required due to changes in the law, school code, et cetera. So there are not a whole lot of choices here for boards to make, but it is important to keep your policies current and up to date. So any questions, clarity that I can provide? Okay. I'll move on to the superintendent's report for this month. Strategic planning has been a large part of what we focused our efforts on, trying to bring to you a really well put together final document that I think the district can feel proud about. So I hope that you do. The winter edition of the Fairviews went out within the last week or so. So hopefully you have received that and had an opportunity to read through some of the exciting things happening at Fairview. And then finally, really working on our personnel plan for next year. Those are conversations that will continue to occur over the next couple of months. But other than that, I think we're off to a good start in the new year and happy to have our students back with us and, looking forward to the next, couple of great months of school. So any questions on that report? No? Okay.
All right, next item is our board committees and representatives. Christina Nestero, any updates for the Ed Tech Committee?
Yes, we met just a couple weeks ago where we continued to talk and we reviewed the strategic plan. Mr. Corey was able to provide some tech updates. And then we spent a large portion talking about the preschool and the Free for All program. In addition to the reading curriculum that is sort of being piloted and they're working through with hopefully some recommendations to come in the next few board meetings. So a really productive meeting. Anything I may have missed? No, that was it. Yeah.
Raphael is not here today, but I don't know if there's any other Ed Red, anything?
I don't think we had any updates from Ed Red, probably in the coming months. I believe they are planning a dinner meeting in the next couple of months, so there'll probably be something at that time.
And then Jackie, any updates for our NTDSC?
We didn't have a December meeting. We are meeting tomorrow, so I'll have an update next meeting.
Okay. And then Christine, any updates for PTA? Okay. Thank you. Regarding freedom of information, I can report that there was one Freedom of Information Act received since last board meeting, and it was responded to as required. And we did not have any submissions for information items and correspondence this month. And now public comment. At this time, I'd like to invite members of the audience to address the board. The public comment period is designed to gain input from the public and not for immediate response by the board to the questions or comments presented. If you wish to address the board, please come to the microphone and state your name. A 3-minute time limit will be set and the board secretary will keep time. All right. No, and no online comments today as well. We are going to move on to approve consent agenda items today. May I have a motion and a second to approve the following consent agenda items? Adopt.
So moved.
Second? I'll second. Did you say? Perfect. I'll second. Adopt District 72 strategic plan. Approve certified staff seniority list. Approve support staff seniority list, and approve possible approval of release of closed session minutes for the dates of November 20th, 2024, October 16th, 2024, and June 11th, 2024. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Would the board secretary please call a roll call vote?
Yes. Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Christine Soika,
Yes.
Esther Tamura,
Yes.
Diana Diakakis.
Yes.
Sargon Guliana.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And items for future consideration. Does anyone have any items that they'd like to share?
I have one. We have set a date for the retirement tea this late spring, May 15th. So if board members would please mark your calendars. We would love to have you join us. It'll be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll be celebrating 2 of our wonderful teachers who will be retiring at the end of this year. So we will also publish a community invitation because that will be open to the entire community to participate in.
Awesome. All right, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting of the Fairview Board of Education at 7:39 PM.
So moved.
All right. Would the board secretary please call roll call vote?
Esther Tamura,
Yes.
Diana Diakakis?
Yes.
Sargon Guliana?
Yes.
Jacqueline Boujde, yes. Christine Soika?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.